Uh, so it's not just the traditional medical fields, the scientific fields.
India, can you talk a little bit about that from the community perspective?
Well, I think from a community, again, it's about education and how do we create access. You know, that's something that we lack here. How do we create the kind of access, and I think we talked about this earlier, to draw and attract the kind of talent and people are aware of what are the programs and opportunities out there. And that's something I think there's a lot out there, but people just don't know. So I think that this conversation, poses us to look at the schools. One is at the John Hay campus, the Cleveland School District School of Science and Medicine, which came together as a partnership between the clinic, Case Western, and university hospitals. And you have students there that are graduating, going on. So how do we grow that? How do we scale that up in a manner that in Northeast Ohio that we will become the, talent, bring the talent we need and create the kind of the brain gain that we need to keep in this region?
Our next question.
Good afternoon, Greg Connell, Fleischman Hillard. Up until now, the medical capital has been the child of the healthcare communicators and organizations and institutions like the ones in the room today that we all have a vested interest in the healthcare economy. But now we're taking this story to a much broader audience, one for whom the benefits may not be as obvious, the current case may not be as clear. As we take this out to the rest of the world, what is the most important thing that our business leaders, our politicians, our local citizens need to understand? And what's our ask? What do we want them to do for us to help make this a reality? Thank you.
I'm going to slightly reframe that question and ask you to, I'd like to hear from everybody actually, but ask you to answer, what's the one story that you want people to be repeating? Is that more or less? But also, what's the ask? Very good. Mark Lowe.
We're out promoting it, and we're taking it very broadly, and I believe that it's catching, and so I don't think that it's limited to the healthcare communicators community at all. I really do think that the businesses that are engaged can use this and can use this in all of their efforts for recruitment, particularly, and for getting funding, secondarily or equally. And I don't know that it's, if I interpreted your question that we're at one tier and we have to now sell it to a different tier level, that it's that distinctive, really. Recruitment and funding are the two key things that we're all looking for, and it's recruitment of talent and it's recruitment of money. And the message is already working to draw that here. And the number of new companies that have been formed, the number of VCs that have established their offices here, both from the coast as well as from the Midwest, is all growing. And so, again, I've said before, BASIS is here for that. It can just be communicated.
Dr. Gershon?
We need to do a better job in getting the message out to the public. So, for example, Research America is a national alliance of about 400 plus organizations, business groups, professional groups, and so forth. It represents 130 million Americans. They have one goal: more medical research in the Congress. They do Research America polls that are sponsored by a Harris subsidiary, and when they do those polls, pardon me, 88% of the public thinks that medical research is important. Then they ask the same people, can you name an institution that does it? 6% can name it. We don't do a good job. We need to do a better job. We do a great job in what we're doing in our institutions. We're not doing a great job in getting the word out as to what's the benefit to the public in terms of health and wellness, in terms of jobs, in terms of education, all the things we're talking about. And if we don't do that very well, the prioritization of this issue and these issues, we can be called a medical capital. We're not going to be a medical capital unless the public comes along with us.
Ken Walker, Magnet.
I think one of the stories for manufacturers is that the medical area promotes innovation. I think medical devices worldwide have shorter product life cycles than, say, products used in the automotive or some of the other traditional industries. So it forces companies to be innovative. And when you're being innovative and if you have shorter product development cycles, it also helps inure you against foreign competition. So I think one of the messages to take out there for manufacturers as far as the medical capital is that this is an area that's continuing to grow worldwide as the level of incomes for people all across the world, from India and China, raise up. They're going to have a more need for medical devices to help ensure their quality of life as they're going to be living longer, et cetera. So that what this does is enables manufacturers to really have an opportunity to really do what America does best, and that's innovate, and to really maintain our overall leadership within the world through innovation that a lot of the other countries can't maintain.
In short, it's the dependable growth sector. If you're in manufacturing,
Exactly.
you're looking for that.
Exactly. As we all live longer, we want to live better quality lives, and in order to do that, a lot of us require the medical industry in order to help us do that.
India, you've got about 10 seconds. I'm sorry.
Well,
These guys talk too much.
actually, the area I would touch on, I think, from a community level, and it's probably the most controversial, is education. And that's starting into schools at the very basic level. Until we learn how to educate our children for the type of jobs, for the where the industries are going, and really instill that into the schools where people are learning at the way that they should, that they qualify to get to that medical capital and have the kind of talent that we need, it's going to be a challenge. I know we're moving there. We have some examples of things that have worked so far, but until we can figure out how to do that on a broad basis across the state and really institute the kind of curriculums that we need to get our people ready, children ready for the future, we're always going to be behind the ball. And I know that's the hard question. And it's enough talent in this region and enough assets to do it if we think about how to do it collectively and stop worrying about our little silos.
India Pearsley is with the Cleveland Foundation. I am going to just say a few things to wrap up here. We set out to sketch out the constellation, and I think we started to do that today. We also set out to start the conversation, and we definitely did that today as well. There are roughly 170 of you here in the room, and several thousand, more than that, I believe, probably listening this evening. Many more will learn about this and hear it on a podcast. Your to-do is keep the conversation going. So thank you very much for being here today, and I also want to thank our panelists, Mark Lowe of the Global Cardiovascular Innovation Center, Dr. Jay Gershon of Neo-UCOM, India Pearsley of the Cleveland Foundation, and Ken Walker of Magnet, and thank you all for being here today.
And we have a brief announcement here by Rick Bedico of Cleveland Plus.
Thank you, people. We certainly want to thank all the communicators that came together with Cleveland Plus in 2008 to kick this whole thing off. Our work is moving along, but it's certainly not done next. The next Summit for Healthcare Communicators will be November 5th, so we'll want you to join us. As you know, this is essentially a voluntary organization, so we'll be looking for some sponsors too. So hi, everybody. Glad to talk to you afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, panel. Thank you, Dan Malthrop. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This program is now adjourned.